And next on our list is Quantum Foods, which was spun off from Pioneer. What that means is that effectively Pioneer decided it didn't want to own this business division anymore, so it distributed shares in Quantum Foods to its shareholders. So you basically got these in your account, and from one day to the next they just started trading in the market under a new management team. Well, the same management team, but they're now the listed company CEO, etc., etc. The actual business itself is involved with animal feeds, eggs, layer livestock and broilers. So layer livestock means, you know, the little birds that produce the eggs that get used, and then little chicks and so on that get sent to other people to manufacture chickens, and then the broilers themselves. Market capitalization fairly modest, 618.1 million rand. Price earnings ratio of 4.91, dividend yield of 3.77. So Gerbrand, when it first came into people's accounts, they must have wondered, well, what's this thing worth? Where's it going to trade? But it has at least now had results of its own, under its own banner, and so you're starting to develop a level and see where it ought to be priced.
Yeah, look, and I think it was one of the guys who actually underperformed the industry over the last year or two, but they certainly had restructuring issues, etc. So their latest numbers were looking okay, like all these guys, and you saw the PE of below 5. So certainly it looks on the cheapy side, but they probably got the same headwinds than what we've discussed with Astral. They don't have a big feed business.
You're right.
So they got a Nova feed business, which they call Nova. That's growing. So that's a plus for them. Some of the other guys only actually just give themselves feed on that front. But yeah, it's certainly the same headwinds. It's a different, difficult industry than it was 6 months back. They've sold some of their Pretoria operations, so I think the restructuring went well, and they got good management in there with Hanekom, I think, running the show at the moment there. Used to be Pioneer Foods.
What, Andre Hanekom?
I think he's on that front.
Okay.
I'll have to check up on it again.
I think maybe, what is he on the board?
Maybe on the board, but he's certainly keeping a close eye on this one.
Clever guy.
Not a bad business long-term wise.
Let's have a look at the share chart, because that will show a 1-year chart, okay, because that is a shorter period given the unbundling. I think it's been out on the market under its own steam for about 18 months or so. So yeah, sort of drifting to the side. But your general sense would be maybe a lot of work to do and some concerns there potentially with regard to the overall dynamics of the chicken industry, which is kind of caught between a rock and a hard place, imports. So it's not as though the consumer necessarily is eating less chicken. It's just harder for the local producers to be the ones doing the sales.
Yeah, I think they're going to, from a revenue and an EBITDA point of view, they get more of their sales just from the chicken side, etc. So they're certainly going to have a tougher time than what Astral would have. So yeah, it's going to be headwinds for them. Long-term wise, I got no problem with the company. It's cheap on a price-to-book ratio. It's cheap on all earnings metrics, but the earnings are going to fall away. So that's not the right way to look at the
also
company.
Also a bit small for me. So
the liquidity on that is certainly a problem for fund managers. And
sometimes after an unbundling, you get a certain amount of loose holders who didn't really, get this, and then when they see it's not really doing much for them, they'll offload it. Okay, not hot on that one.
No, not hot.